Jennifer, A Woman's Story was released in 1979. This is directed by Guy Green, written by Richard Gregson, and we have a cast including Elizabeth Montgomery as Jennifer. We have Bradford Dillman as Donald. We also have Doris Roberts in it, and it's because of Doris Roberts that I became aware of this. And it did sound quite interesting. I was keen to see what it would be like, and honestly, the first 50 minutes are so boring. I'm not exaggerating when I say it takes 50 minutes to get to the point of the film. And part of me feels like I shouldn't even say what happens 50 minutes in, because I never discuss what happens that far into films, because generally that's a spoiler. However, I will say what happens. So I guess if you don't want to know what happens that late into the film, maybe don't listen to me anymore. I don't recommend the film in general anyway. But I had the knowledge going into it that it was about a certain thing, and it takes 50 minutes to establish it, so I will explain what happens 50 minutes into the film. But first of all, I'll read the description on IMDb, as this is what I had going into it. So I guess technically a spoiler from now, but at the same time, it's kind of what the film is about. The description from IMDb says as follows: the widow of a wealthy executive battles schemes by factions of the board of directors as she fights to keep control of his shipbuilding company. So within the first 50 minutes, all we learn is that Jennifer wants to go back to work, and her husband doesn't really want her to go to work. He wants her to stay at home and be a housewife. And that's it. That's all we establish for the first 50 minutes of the film. And then he dies. It takes him 50 minutes to die. And I'm not exaggerating. I did write it down. I wrote the time down because I was just so baffled by how long it was taking. And yes, I'd say the second half of the film, with Jennifer battling the board of directors and trying to have a say in her late husband's shipbuilding company, yes, it's interesting. I think it's addressing an important topic, certainly in the 70s, probably even the case today to some extent. And I guess they did a good job of showing the fight that she had on her hands. She's a very headstrong character. I wanted the best for her. But because I'd spent 50 minutes being so bored and, as callous as it sounds, waiting for her husband to die, I had just lost all faith in the film. So the second half isn't bad, but there was absolutely no need to take 50 minutes to get to that point. So the pacing is horrendous. And I don't necessarily think the second half is rushed. It's not so much that I think they spent 50 minutes setting it up and then rushed the rest of the film. I just feel like the film could have been maybe an hour and 20 minutes. We could have established the narrative easily within 20 minutes, and then we could have had, let's say, maybe another hour of fleshing out the main narrative, and it would have been a really strong film. It would have been really thought-provoking. And as I said, Jennifer is a very interesting, well-written character. We have a really great performance there, but I'm just baffled by how poor the first half of the film is. So I don't really recommend it unless you want to sit through those first 50 minutes. The second half is okay, I guess, but in general, it's not a good film. Strong character writing. I think it's addressing an important topic, and I think it did a bad job of getting to that point, so it wasn't great. Doris Roberts was very good as well. As a Doris Roberts fan, I was happy with her character in this, but in terms of the narrative, the pacing is just horrendous. But the second half is fine, so if you're willing to sit through the first 50 minutes, to be honest, you could skip ahead. All you need is the knowledge that Jennifer wants to go to work. She wants to be involved either in her husband's company or at least doing something with her time rather than just sitting around the house. That's the only information you need. And I guess you could skip ahead. By all means, watch it if you want, but I don't think the first 50 minutes adds any value. You don't really need to know more than just Jennifer wants to go to work. And when her husband dies, it seems like she has this opportunity to become very hands-on involved with his company, and there are obstacles along the way. So not a great film, an important message, or at least it addresses an important message of women being able to actually have a say in their partner, and indeed late partner's company, and the problems that arise. But unfortunately, it was very badly handled. Jennifer's very well written, the performances are very good. I guess the technical aspects of the film are fine, but it didn't take 50 minutes to set the scene. Jennifer, A Woman's Story could have been a really strong film, but unfortunately, the first half really lets it down.